Assalamu alaikum. I hope you all are doing well. This is Aliya Attique. The topic of my presentation is grudge holding, forgiveness, and self-compassion among elderly individuals. Grudge holding and forgiveness were independent variables, whereas self-compassion was a dependent variable. Grudge holding is bitterness towards the offender. It is something a person holds towards the offender, which gives him a sense of power. It involves insecurity, pessimistic feelings. Forgiveness is a process and it is a free choice. It's a will of forgiving someone and move on in his life. It takes time to forgive someone, and it involves the meaning of pessimistic feelings towards the offender, whereas self-compassion is a concept which help a person connect with his own feelings. When a person is facing some difficult time, this concept help a person become more mindful about his hardships, and instead of thinking that these hardships and mistakes are unique to him, he thinks that it is common and everyone goes through these hardships. Broaden and Build theory by Fredrickson is a theoretical framework of my research, and according to it, positive emotions broadens novel thoughts which help a person build enduring personal resources, and which eventually help a person have an enhanced physical and mental health. Why this study was conducted? As we all know that with the advancement of science, life expectancy has been increased, and it has challenged mental health workers to help elders have a healthier and happier life. And we all know that we all have been through some unfairness in our lives, and we all have grudges against someone one way or another way. So to better understand these problems of elderly individuals and their grudges towards the offender, this study was conducted. The objectives of studies, it was to examine relationship between grudge holding, forgiveness, and self-compassion, mean differences in study variables in terms of residence and marital status, and to examine the effect of grudge holding and forgiveness on self-compassion. It was hypothesized that there will be significant negative relationship between grudge holding and self-compassion, significant positive relationship between forgiveness and self-compassion, significant mean differences in grudge holding, forgiveness, and self-compassion in terms of residence and marital status. And grudge holding and forgiveness will likely to be significant predictors of self-compassion. Cross-sectional research design was implemented, and 200 elderly individuals were recruited through purposive sampling strategy. 100 were recruited through institutes and 100 were recruited through general population. And all the elderly individuals were above 60 years. All assessment measures. The Urdu translated versions of assessment measures were applied, such as grudge aspect measures, right forgiveness inventory, self-compassion scale. And obviously, all the research ethics were kept in mind. Socio-demographic characteristics suggest that most of the population was comprised of females, and around 58% of population was 60 to 65 years old, and most of the population was graduated. Marital status stipulates that most of the population sample was married, whereas most of them were unemployed. Now let's come to the results section. Correlation analysis suggests that grudge holding and forgiveness were negatively correlated, whereas the grudge holding and the negative domain of self-compassion were positively correlated, and positive domains of self-compassion and forgiveness were positively correlated. Test analysis suggests that there are significant mean differences in grudge holding, forgiveness, and self-compassion in terms of residents. And those who were living in institutes were high on grudge holding and self-compassion and low forgiveness. This can be explained as that those individuals who were living in old age homes were mostly rejected by their family members. They have had problems with their family members, hold against their family members. That is why they the grudges were strong, and it was hard for them to forgive their family members. As we all know that forgiveness depends on the situation and on the person you are forgiving, and it becomes hard to forgive a family member. Self-compassion, why they were high, it can be explained as they were living away from their family members. They were living away from their home, and they had to do everything by themselves. So they had an increased sense of autonomy and self-awareness. And according to previous researches, enhanced autonomy and enhanced self-awareness leads to enhanced self-compassion. ANOVA analysis stipulates that there are significant mean differences in grudge holding, forgiveness, and two positive domains of self-compassion, such as self-kindness and common humanity, in terms of marital status. And those who had lost their spouses were high on grudge holding, and those who were married and in relationship were high on forgiveness. This can be explained as that those who had lost their spouses lacked the emotional support and which could help them to cope with the situation, and those who were married had the adequate amount of emotional support which helped them to forgive someone. Those who were divorced were high on common humanity, and those who had lost their spouse were high on self-kindness. And this can be explained through previous research, which states that in order to cure from divorce and the loss of a spouse, one should be high on positive domains of self-compassion and common humanity. Regression analysis stipulates that residence a negative effect, which is a negative domain of forgiveness, are the positive predictors of self-compassion. And you must be thinking that how come a negative effect, which is negative in itself, could be a predict of something which is positive. So it can be explained as that items of negative effect were reverse coded. So that is why it shows that it is a positive predictor, but technically it is a negative predictor. Let's talk about the implications of the study. This study helps us to better understand elderly individuals with reference to grudge holding, forgiveness, and self-compassion. And more importantly, it highlights the significance of interventions to resolve the problem of elderly individuals. And it suggests that we must have many intervention programs which are aimed to help enhance the mental health of elderly individuals, which will eventually enhance their physical health. Limitations, basically, it was very difficult to find data through elderly individuals, and it was hard for them to understand the concepts of psychology, which would have affected the results, as well as the most important, non-homogeneous groups of demographic variables. That's it. Thank you for listening.